hoping the other speakers would be lousy. They're really good. That's the problem in here. I'm Peter Ricchiuti. I've been in the investment field for 36 years, 28 of them teaching finance here at Tulane University. And I'm going to talk to you tonight a little bit about economics and income inequality from a very different angle than you may have heard of it before. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking finance is really boring. In fact, some of you are here to hear me really just because you've run out of Ambien. And but we're going to change that for you. One of the things I want to point out is this is true. They asked people a survey, what was the Federal Reserve? Half of them thought it was a brand of whiskey. That is not good. A quarter thought a wildlife refuge, the rest an Indian reservation. We really need help in this area. There's really no question about it. Now, I am an unabashed, well-heeled capitalist, and over the last several years, I have done very, very well in a rising stock market with a growing but uneven economy. And I want to come out to talk to you a little bit about that situation. The economy is getting better, but you'd never hear it from the media. You never really would. Everything you get is bad news. I'm watching Wolf Blitzer on the Situation Room on CNN, and he's talking about the economy, and now even I'm getting scared, and geez, and I think to myself, damn, if my name was Wolf, I would not grow a beard. That'd be the other thing I wouldn't do. So they, come on. And then good thing is they gave me this clicker, which I know we had some problems with earlier, but it is great because it allows us to pick up TV stations. Really terrific, these TED people, lots of money. And so let me see what they got. I want to see what's on TV right now. Let's see. Let's try to see what's on Fox News. They're coming for your guns, and next they'll be wanting your women. Okay, there's a... Okay, now over to Steve with weather. It's raining. Thanks, Obama. There's a... Oh, my God. What has happened? All right, let's see what they're saying on CNBC, Trusted Financial Network. That should be better. Let's see. The Chinese are buying our debt. It is wicked bad. Dogs and cats living together. Okay, that's CNBC. Oh my God. It's, boy, this is a big stage, very big stage. I'm actually getting a lot of exercise, I think. That is kind of cool. My whole family's more into fitness now. A couple of years ago, my mother-in-law started walking 2 miles a day, and now we don't know where the hell she is. So it's really working out great. It's, working out in a number of levels here. What you need to know is the economy is actually doing pretty well. It's not very even, but it is doing pretty well. You'd never get that from the media. And it's interesting. You talk to some people that are pretty well off, and you ask them about the economy or the income inequality, and they're always saying, I'm fine, I don't care about anybody else. I mean, these are the same people. I guess the worst part of this group are the group that can't really enjoy a good meal unless they know someone is starving. That would be the part you really have to worry about. But let's take a look at what's going on in this, in all of this. Now, I want to argue that the reason we should worry about income inequality is that 2/3 of the U.S. economy is consumer-driven. That's the way it's been forever. And so even if you're a rich person and think, I don't need the middle class to be able to do well, it is hurting you because 2/3 of the economy is consumer-driven, and this is going to sound a little curt, but the rich already own everything and the poor can't afford anything. So it is the middle class that drives that portion of the economy. And that's what we have to keep an eye on. Now, the middle class have really lost their economic mojo with everything that has happened in here. Very hesitant to spend, particularly on non-necessities and big-ticket items. And why is that? What has happened? Well, first of all, there's concerns about employment. They see the unemployment levels getting lower, getting better, but slowly, but they still don't feel very confident in their own job or the ability to move up. They worry about savings and investments. So what the average person went through with their investments in 2008, 2009, they will never, ever forget. And it is, even though their 401k accounts and their retirement plans are now made up all the losses and then some, they still are very, very uneasy about their savings. And then the increasing income gap, which is a real problem. If the middle class feel pinched, it is a reason. It is, because it's true. And when I first got in this business in 1979, the U.S. economy since then has doubled in size, really better. It went from $8 trillion of GDP to now $17 trillion in GDP. But back then, the top 1% of the population earned 10% of the nation's income. Now the top 1% of the earners earn 20% of the nation's income and control 48% of the nation's wealth. That is unbelievable and growing. It's no question, now they're saying by 2016, the top 1% will control more than half of all the wealth in the United States. And this is a real problem. If we take a look at why this is occurring, there's a number of reasons, but what I want to focus on tonight, and there's certain things, tax policy and all of that, but I want to focus on something that nobody's talking about, and that is corporate decision making. That is what is driving, it is the accelerator to income inequality. And what is happening is, first of all, U.S. corporations have loads of cash, hordes of cash. We think U.S. corporations have $2 trillion worth of cash in their coffers right now. They have another $2 trillion squirreled away in offshore bank accounts. That's $4 trillion. That's a lot of money. And so that money is not going back into the economy. And that's what we need to talk about. If you want to know how much money's out there, right now, General Electric has $135 billion in cash. Microsoft has $85 billion in cash. ExxonMobil has $50 billion in cash. This is not normal. This is normal is when the CEO can call the CFO and say, you know, Steve, the light bill comes in this month. Do you have enough cash to pay it? Now it's, hey, Steve, this is, I was just wondering, we're thinking of buying 2 or 3 small countries. You got enough cash for that? You know, this is crazy. And the money they are spending, and this is what is driving the wedge in here that no one is talking about yet, is that where are they using the money? Where are these corporate profits going? Because corporate profits are phenomenal. They're not good. They're not great. They are outrageous. It has never been this good for corporate America. And what are they doing with it? Well, first of all, they're buying back their own shares. In the last 4 years, U.S. corporations have bought back $1.5 trillion worth of their own stock. They're increasing dividends at a record pace. And the third would be mergers and acquisitions, companies buying each other. That is the opposite of economic expansion, because when companies buy each other, it leads to a lot of layoffs. So when we're looking at these top 3 things, they have done a tremendous job of what we call financial engineering. In other words, they have helped companies build up their stock prices. And they've done very, very well. The market has tripled since President Obama took office. But these are the things we're looking at in here. And they've done very well for stock prices, so they've done very well for the rich. But remember, the top 1% owns 50% of all the stock in the country. So it's done very well for that group, but hasn't done anything on the other side, what I would call the real economy. Because you're not seeing companies do this. You're not seeing much needed capital expenditures, and you're not seeing very much hiring. Those are the things that help the general economy, and it's just not happening. And this is what's holding us back in here. And I'd be interested to see how long this will go on. But now that everybody's talking about income inequality, I'm expecting some movement on those bottom 2 forces. Now, one of the things you have to deal with, it's a big question that comes up in business schools all the time, is the idea. By the way, I'm trying to make this more lively. I know you're afraid there was going to be a finance guy, and and I've been through the same thing. Sometimes I hear a finance lecture or an economist, and I'm in the crowd, and I think to myself, "Damn, why does the government still bother with waterboarding?" So I'm trying up here, really. One of the problems we have to deal with here in this question is something we talk about in business schools all the time, the Freeman School, every other business school in America, and that is corporations. Are they beholden only to shareholders, or are they beholden to stakeholders? Stakeholders would include shareholders, but it would also include employees, customers, suppliers, the communities they work in, and the environment. And that's the issue. That's the big issue that's being wrestled with now in our nation's business schools. I want to talk about slice of the pie. I'm Italian, so I used Italian pizza pie. I thought that was helpful. I recognize that relative on the left-hand side there. Very, very nice guy. And you hear people say, I just want to maintain my slice of the pie. And I understand that. But what's not understood by those people is that the economy and wealth is not a zero-sum game. Just because someone else does better does not mean that I'm doing worse. And that's the part we have to get through. The idea that a growing economy is good for everyone, the rich, the middle class, the poor. And finally, when we get that kind of thinking, we're going to be a lot better off. One of the things I'd like to end with is the idea of why capitalism works. Capitalism only works if most of the citizens believe that it is a fair and flat playing field, and also that everyone has a chance to move up economically in the society. If they don't believe that any longer, it doesn't work. That is what destroys capitalism. And I think we're actually very close to that level right now. We've had an economy that's done very well over the last several years, but hasn't really benefited everyone. It's benefited the rich on Wall Street, but has done very, very little to help the middle class on Main Street. And there needs to be a change. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay.